Good morning to you, and we invite Stephen Coxhead to the microphone now. Steve, you are the chair of the Tamworth branch of the National Party. Good morning.
Morning. How are you, Macca?
Good. Now, a lot of stories, a lot of rumours, a lot of phone calls, particularly for me in the last 24 hours. You've got to get this fellow on. Brett Larkham from One Nation has organised you to come in for a chat. Just give us a bit of a rundown. You've been 10 years with the National Party. What was your role there?
Yeah, that's right. I was a member for a little bit over 10 years and also heavily involved prior to that doing basically sniping from the sidelines. Because I wasn't... The job I had, I was a long-distance truck driver, so I wasn't able to commit to the party for a while I was doing that. But when I moved back permanently, I became a member, and I've been a member for a bit over 10 years, and for probably about the last 15 months or so, I was the chairman of the Tamworth branch of the Nationals.
We've seen breakups on a federal level as far as the Libs and the Nats. We've seen different alignments. They've appeared to have come back together. Pauline Hanson saying very similar things to Barnaby Joyce on a federal level. It's an interesting one that sometimes if you take the politicians out of politics, you can actually get the job done, because a lot of them are saying very, very similar things. Why One Nation?
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Barnaby Joyce and Pauline Hanson have both been saying the same thing for a long, long time, irrespective of the barbs that come their way. They speak from the heart, they speak their truth, and they can also relate to people. I've never seen politicians other than, very few politicians other than Barnaby and Pauline being able to walk into a pub unannounced and hold the room. It takes a very special kind of a person to be able to do that.
They're both characters, and I think they get their message across, and they're the quintessential Australian before it was wrong to be an Australian, which apparently now, mate, it's wrong to be an Australian in so many ways. If I wore a Union Jack and a Southern Cross down the street, I'd get crucified for it, which is really sad.
Yeah, it's actually ridiculous. When has it become racist to be Australian, to love your country, to love where you're from? It's just a nonsense.
Yeah, it certainly is, and be an interesting one, because Pauline's got some legislation in and around this, and she'll be here on the weekend, and really looking forward to being able to catch up with her. But some of this legislation has led you to this decision. Just give us a bit of a rundown on what the last 15 months or so of your life have looked like to where you are today, making this decision over the last 48 or so hours.
Yeah, the decision hasn't come lightly and has been a long time coming. Things like when the Nationals were in government, there was legislation passed revolving around native vegetation. Okay. And it's really sad that the side that is meant to look after farmers brought in legislation that has hamstrung a lot of farmers. I know of places up around Bendemeer where they used to be able to carry 4,500 head of sheep, be a viable operation, and now because government bureaucrats have essentially coloured in a map and they're policing it by satellite, and they're also telling farmers what kind of grasses they are allowed to grow, what fertilisers they're allowed to use, where they're allowed to control weeds. Those places are now essentially locked up and can barely carry 1,000 sheep, so they're not viable.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you look at the national parks, Bob Catter in Parliament, once again another character and staunch Australian, and loves his way of life, but looking to get national parks open back up again for feral pig problems and these sorts of things. So the farmers are already limping as we speak without having to worry about these sorts of things, such as these native vegetation legislations.
Absolutely. And anybody who lives anywhere near a national park know that they're a breeding ground for not only feral pigs but deer and goats and the weeds that come out of it. So recently we've seen 3 properties in the west of New South Wales be bought by the government to be turned into national parks, and that one local government area is now facing a real funding shortfall because the national parks don't pay rates. It's not just through families. There's also farm workers that are now out of a job as well. And the current government have dehumanised those people, and isn't it great? We're going to lock up this land and let the weeds and the feral animals go crazy.
Let's talk about some of these government buybacks, cash grabs, whatever you like to call them, transmission lines. I know Pauline Hanson's One Nation and also the Nationals very, very aligned on policies in regards to net zero. Have you had a look at net zero, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's another disappointing thing. The Nationals leadership not only seem to be rusted on but welded onto net zero. The membership have voted convincingly to leave it, but the leadership seem to be unwilling or unable to walk away from net zero, and it's got a lot of people asking why. Yeah,
because they were part of this Paris Agreement earlier when they were actually in power, and a lot of people forget that. Obviously, once a little bit more research is done, or whether it's a change of party that sort of led to it, and they need to argue about something. But there's been factors there where the Nationals were actually for this renewable energy, I'll call it. We can call it intermittent power, whatever you like, in the earlier stages. So what's happened there? Has more homework been done to the point where they've now said, okay, this is not going to be a viable option. It's going to take too much off the ground. Nuclear is the better option, because in your 10 years you would have seen both sides of this.
Exactly right. And not working for our economy. Our economy is crashing. A lot of other countries have walked away from it, but we have a government in Australia now that is essentially saying that we've seen other people stick a fork in the PowerPoint and get hurt, but we're going to stick the fork in the PowerPoint and do it differently, and we're going to be all right.
I believe you're part of a core group as well, Steve, in relation to around 15 to 20 members looking to make similar decisions here as far as resignations, or at least getting cold feet around the National Party. So this is actually a big move and a big thing, particularly for our region. Yeah,
exactly right. So the Tamworth branch had a core group of about 25 really engaged and invested members. I'm aware of 15 who are either going to formally resign or let their membership lapse. And that's a big move. Like I said, they're invested in the party. They're really wanting to work to help make our area, our state and our country the best it possibly can be. And for a group of people that large to walk away is quite a big thing, and it's endemic within the Nationals. For the first time in their history, the membership statewide has fallen below 4,000 members.
Mm-hmm. Is there a One Nation switch evident, do you think, for these 15, 20, 25 people, or a percentage of them? A percentage of them,
yeah. So I've been in contact with a few, and they have indicated that they want to come across to One Nation. And if anybody else, whether you're a member of the Nationals, ex-member of the Nationals, never been politically involved, I'd say have a look at One Nation. There'll be more announcements coming about events coming up. Keep an ear out, keep an open mind, come along, have a listen, and make up your mind. And we're very happy to have people who love Australia to help make Australia the best possible place it can be.
From a state level, we're seeing issues with the hospital, we're seeing issues with the nurses, and we speak about it till we're blue in the face, 20-hour shifts, hiring overseas nurses just to get the job done. We're seeing a lot of craters, in our roads, almost like we're driving on the moon at times, particularly some of the state roads. Some of these projects are taking a long time to kick off and whatever, and we're hearing, yes, it's in progress. So that's purely from a state level of what's happening at the moment. Then you look at Dungowan Dam and the future of water security. It's evident that we're going to have a drought. It's not about if, but when. That'll happen again, and you speak about the farmers, but just to be able to get a drink in town's going to be a big one. You would have been on both sides of the coin here as well, Steve, where you've watched for the pushing of, say, Dungowan Dam. You've watched for the pushing of the water security to at some stage have that announcement at the summit by Tanya Plibersek going, no, it's not financially valuable for Tamworth to be able to get a drink out of the dam. What are your thoughts in relation to this, and how do you believe One Nation can get these local issues for those members that actually believe that regional Australia, regional New South Wales and our area in Tamworth in particular and surrounds the Liverpool Plains out